I completely forgot to hit record. Y'all didn't miss anything in the 5 minutes I spent setting up and battling. So, those watching this on a later date, you missed nothing except for a scary story about a streamer who was streaming, but suddenly their bitrate dropped to 0. Actually, that would be pretty bad. I would not be happy if my bitrate dropped to fucking 0. I would be very upset if that happened. Oh well, nothing you can do if it does happen, I guess. Okay, I do need to say this though, since I did stop, I didn't record it. I want to say it again. Highlander had some work come up that he had to go take care of. Highlander will not be on this week's show because they're busy this week and they don't have next Sunday off. This is normal. This happens to adults. We've all had it happen. It's just you learn to live with it. You deal with it and you move on. So I don't have a guest for today, which kind of sucks. But come sometime after the 7th of January, I will have hopefully at least one of the guys from the band We Are the Hair. Good local band for where I live. I love them. Their music's amazing, and I can't wait for that. Still got to work out all the details and everything, but once that's set in stone, that'll work. I'm also working on trying to get some other creators from the San Antonio area on the podcast. One, because I like to talk to people. Two, it gives y'all something more than just me babbling. And three, it's entertaining. And four, it might help me actually grow as a streamer and have more people to watch me babble and talk to people. Now, I'm not going to say I'm going to be the next big Joe Rogan. I doubt that. I seriously doubt that. But, at least 10 people that regularly watch and interact with me on the show would be amazing. I would love that. That would be great. Not even like subscribers, just like 10 followers that do that. That would be incredible. Man. Mm-mm-mm. This Johnny Tobacco Nut by Room 101 is an amazing cigar. That would actually be really cool if I could get Matt Booth from Room 101 on the show. That would be cool. That would be awesome. I bet that man's got some cigar stories to tell. And we have the merch on point as always. Looking clean, looking fresh, looking crisp. You too can look clean, fresh, and crisp. I don't know why I keep doing that. I really don't. I saw someone do that once and it looked kind of cool, and now I'm emulating it. And I should stop because I think it looks stupid now. Anyways, you too can buy merch. I'm not telling you to buy merch. I'm not begging you to buy merch to go and buy the merch. I'm just saying, if you want to, you can. Links are down below. Though it's not a prerequisite at all. Because remember, I'll never beg for follow. Oh, I'll beg for follows, but I'll never beg for subs, donations, bits, or merch purchases. That's fine by me if you do or don't. I just ask you follow. Following's free. Doesn't cost you anything. Oh, finally got back into VR, so I'm thinking sometime this coming week, I am going to stream a VR game that I truly, truly love. It's actually a really good game. It's Creed, Rise of Apollo. His kid. And it's a VR boxing game. I love that game. It's fun. And it's a workout. It is a workout, but it is fun. I just need to remember how to work OBS tools and all that so I can actually be able to look at chat. Because I can't interact with y'all. I can't see you. That would be a problem. But no. Tuesday is Halloween, and you know what that means. Kids are going to come to your doors. My advice: turn off your lights. Keep the candy for yourself. That's what I would do if I remembered to buy candy before it all got sold out. Either way, it doesn't matter. You can do what you want with candy. That's not a metaphor for a young lady that works at a place named Candy. No, no. We're not talking about her. She is not the subject. She is not someone we want to talk about. I just think it's funny. But with that said, there's a lot of options for what people do on Halloween. Some people go to trunk or treat, which I think kind of ruins the spirit of Halloween. Seems like paranoid parents. We want to keep our children safe, so we're going to take them somewhere where they can just walk around from car to car. Okay, that's kind of lazy. Like back in my day, when I was a kid, we ran the neighborhood looking for fucking candy. We went all over the neighborhood, filled pillowcase with candy. And I was always sure to pick out the ones that I didn't want my dad taking or my mom taking when they would inspect my candy out of the pillowcase and hide them in another pillowcase. That way, I could keep my good candy and they can go through the stuff I didn't care about. Oh. Because, I didn't want to give up my Butterfingers. I love Butterfinger. Anyway, but yeah, no, it was Halloween was always a big thing when I was a kid, right? Like we didn't have trunk or treat. We had like a school fall festival because they couldn't call it Halloween, but they called it fall festival. Fall festival always had games, little, like a themed room for this, themed room for that. They, of course, they had a book fair where you could buy books. And I picked up some good books there. I picked up some really, really good books there. You know, and of course, they had a little haunted house in the music room, which was always cool. And they had a cakewalk and they had food booths and all that other crap that I didn't really care about. There was always games. And when I was in elementary school in Dallas at Moss Haven, they had carnival games, dunking booth, ring toss, milk jugs, all of the old carnival games that made it so special. And they had a haunted house in the music room, which I will never forget because they they got like cubicle walls, and they used it to create a little bit of a path that made it longer to walk through, so you just walk straight through. And it was fun. I loved it. And it was a great way to raise money for the school because you had to buy tickets to do stuff. When you want to throw bottles or not bottles, rings and bottles, you got to pay a couple tickets. You want to go to the haunted house, 5 tickets. You hit the dunk booth, got to pay your tickets. You want a funnel cake? Tickets. You want soda? Tickets. Everything costs tickets, and it was a good way of dealing with it. And I liked it. It was fun. It was really really fun. And yeah, I liked how they did that. But when Halloween night came around, because the fall festival is always the weekend before Halloween, right? Me, my friends would get together with all of our costumes and our pillowcases, and we ran that neighborhood. We went all over that neighborhood, and we filled our pillowcases up with candy every year. We filled our pillowcases up with candy every year that we did that, and it was great fun. And I always went through and put out all the good candy. I wanted to keep that. I didn't want my parents to take. Oh, it must have been bad. No, I put that shit in a separate pillowcase, hid it underneath my bedroom window in the bushes, so I could pull it into my room later that night and hide it, so that my parents didn't take my Butterfingers, my Reese's Pieces, my Reese's Cups. Oh, I would hate when they would just take. Oh, it wasn't good. No, fuck that. It was my candy. Stop taking it. And as a godparent, you just had to babysit godchildren over the holidays at Halloween. I would do the same thing my parents did. Go through their candy, check it, actually check, make sure it's not messed with, and then take my tax by taking my bits of candy. I would, not a lot, just a handful in proportion to what they got. Like a little handful, like about that much. Not a lot. Like maybe 5 or 6 pieces. Oh man, I love Halloween. I love it so much. There's always something to do. There's always something going on. Someone's always having a house party. As I've gotten older, someone's always having a smaller house party. Because as you get older, you don't want a giant house party like you had in high school or college where 50 plus people show up and they crash the place. No, 5, 15 of your adult friends coming over, like a potluck. We all bring food. We all bring liquor, booze. And we sit around, we smoke cigars, we drink, we eat, we talk, and we just have fun. Listen to music, maybe dance, talk a little shit, just a little shit. Always a little shit. We're good at talking shit. It's what we do. But that's Halloween as an adult. You can still enjoy it. Trust me. I enjoy Halloween. I really do. And I don't have to go to some big crazy party. And I don't have to go to a bar. I'm 40. I'm middle aged. I get annoyed by crowded bars. I do. I do. That's just how it is when you get older. You get annoyed by shit like that sometimes. You know, sometimes it's fun, but I'll leave after an hour because I don't want to deal with kids, college age kids and anyone under 35 coming in and starting bullshit and drama. Yeah, I'm middle aged. I accept it. But I still have fun. And eventually, I am gonna get enough stuff together to decorate my house for Halloween. And that's the cool thing. As an adult, nobody can tell you no when it comes to your decorations for Halloween. I mean, use common sense still. But you want to buy a fucking 15-foot tall skeleton? Do it. You want to buy an animatronic? Do it. You want to put up a scary skeleton strip club? Do it. It's Halloween. Have fun with it. You know, if you want to use inflatables, go for it. If you want to just have some spooky lights, go for it. Hell, you can go all out and have an orchestrated fucking laser LED multiple effects show for Halloween. You know, you do you. Eventually, I'm gonna do something. I'm not sure what, but there will be decorations for Halloween. Speaking of which, I remember when I was about 7 in Dallas, there was this one house in the neighborhood. They went all out for Halloween, right? Like they went all out. They had fog machines that sprayed the yard. They had low lights and everything. It lit up and had spooky flashing lights and thunder and creepy noises. And they had turned their garage into a small haunted house. And it was so cool because what they would do is they would charge you either 25 cents or a piece of candy to get in. And what they were doing with the candy is they were donating it to the children, the women and children's shelter. And the money was going to a charity. I think it was UNICEF, which was cool. They were raising something for better while doing Halloween, which was always cool. Always a cool thing. Maybe I'll do something like that. I'll turn the, 2-car garage into a little haunted house, charge kids like $1 to get in, and donate the money to UNICEF anonymously. I'm not taking credit for it. Fuck no. I hate when people take credit for other people's donations. I really, really do. So if I'm going to raise money for UNICEF, it's not going to be under my name. It'll just be anonymous. But that's what these people did. I always thought that was really, really cool for a Halloween house, you know? I mean, their kid was kind of a jerk. I didn't like him. And we got in fights all the time. But their house was cool. And his older sister was cute. I'm 7. She's 18. I had a crush on her. God, I had a crush on that gal. Never saw her after she went away to college. Yeah, well, hmm. I wonder. No, no. Not going to deal with that right now. Although, I remember there were 2 dentists that lived in the neighborhood that I lived in as a kid in Dallas. And every Halloween, one dentist, and like, oh, I don't know why a lot of dentists do this. So I get the reasoning behind it, but one dentist did the typical sample pack of toothpaste, sample little toothbrush, and little thing of floss with their business card on in the bag. I hate when dentists do that. And the other dentist gave out king size candy bars with his business card taped to them. I mean, king size fucking candy bars with his business card taped on them. And he didn't care if you hit his house multiple times. Tell you what, those Butterfinger bars, the king size ones, yeah, those got hidden in the pillowcase that was stuffed outside my bedroom window that I could pull into my room later. Because I knew my parents would take those in a heartbeat. But yeah, that dentist gave out full sized, king sized candy bars with his business card taped on. So I'll let you guess which dentist was popular and I went to go see as a kid versus which dentist I didn't see and their house got TP'd and egged every Halloween. Give you a hint. They gave away toothpaste. Like I can see the point of a dentist doing that. You know, I really can. I just think it's kind of bonk move on Halloween, man. Give at least a piece of candy in there too. And not that sugar free crap. Although I'm surprised. I haven't seen it on Facebook this year. I haven't seen it in a couple of years actually. You know, the warnings about, you know, check your kids' candy, you know, oh, these drugs, these weed edibles, which are really expensive, you know, they look like this. And it's like no one is going to give your kid their $15 a piece weed edible, you know, candy bar. They're not gonna do that. I don't know a drug dealer in the world that would do that. Unless they were really high and they got it mixed up, which I doubt that's the case. But also, no drug dealer is going to give your kid free drugs. Nobody likes your children enough to give them free drugs. Besides, the number of kids on Adderall and Ritalin, you're already putting your kids on methamphetamines anyways. What do you care? That's not a slam against people with ADD and ADHD. Adderall really does help them. Trust me, my little brother, we couldn't stand him when he was on his Adderall. But when he wasn't on his Adderall, actively tried to kill him. I couldn't stand the shit. Oh man, good cigar. But Halloween, Halloween is such an amazing time of year. From the costumes to the pageantry to the fun fucking decorations people put in their yards. And there's some, you know, my neighborhood. I wish I would have got a picture of it. There are some amazing, amazing decorations out and about. Like there really, really are. In fact, earlier today, someone in my neighborhood when I drove by, they had 2 of the big 15-foot, or 12, or however, the giant skeletons, and they had one dressed like King Kong and another one kind of dressed like Godzilla, and they had them fighting in their yard, which I thought looked cool. Right. I thought it was cool, you know. Yeah, of course, you know, there's people in costumes everywhere. It's always a magical time of year. A little bit cold in the air, crisp air, nice cold breeze, dark, spooky. Love it. But I remember one year, this is when I was living in El Paso. One of my friends, his neighbor was super, super religious. And they had talked his mom into taking him to something called a hell house or a hallelujah house. And he talked me into going with it. And I'm not saying there's anything bad about religion. I'm just saying this was the biggest disappointment I'd ever been to because the first part was kind of okay. And it's kind of bland, though. It was like a church production. Oh, these people live in sin. And then, oh, they all die. And then they get judged. And then you get to go through some rooms where they're in hell facing their punishment. And then at the end, there's a room where they ask all the people that went through if they want to give their life to Christ. And it's like, I was raised Catholic, so no, no, I'm not going to do that. I was raised Catholic. I'm not joining some weird other form of Christianity. There's nothing wrong, that. But it was just always awkward. It was very awkward. Or like at school when there was always this one ultra religious kid, always one, who sits there and lectures the class about how we're going to hell for Halloween, blah blah blah. And it's like, you know what? You do you. We're gonna go get candy. We're not worshiping the devil by going door to door to get candy. Let's face it, Halloween is a very commercial holiday. It's like Mother's Day, Father's Day, Grandparents' Day. It's a very commercialized holiday. Even Valentine's Day started off as St. Valentine's Day, which used to be a kind of a religious thing for Catholics and some other branches of Christianity, but it became heavily commercialized. You know, it's just the nature of the way it goes. You know, but it's just how it happens. That's how it went. You know, now it's so commercialized that I doubt there's any religious meaning left to the holiday. Or at least here in the US, for the most part. Yeah, it's so commercialized that there's nothing left. I just noticed how white my teeth are. Pays off brushing teeth twice a day and not eating garbage. I gotta stop doing that retro inhale. That is going to kill my sinuses later. Excuse me. That, ugh, that was that was a powerful sneeze. Gave me goosebumps. Ooh. Oh man, that gave me goosebumps. Kind of like the time that I went on one of those ghost tours downtown. And of course, I don't believe in ghosts. I really don't. I believe most of it can be explained away with rational science and logic. However, they're still fun to go on those ghost tours because, the people that lead the tour, they're really into it. And they really, really go through the effort to make it enjoyable. It's not just like, going to the history museum with that one tour guide that's monotone that talks like this and talks about this is a portrait of the fall of the Roman Empire. This is a sarcophagus from ancient Egypt. These are the mummified remains of so, so, and so, and so. These are artifacts from the American Revolution. This is a dinosaur. Ooh. Yeah, it's not like that. It's like they actually put effort into it, which I really, really like the ghost tours here in San Antonio. Because they put effort into the tour to make it spooky and fun. It's not just you and a bunch of people walking around and they're going, this is where so and so died, or this is where the ghost of so and so can be seen. No, they put effort into it. It's fun. It really is fun. God, I'm old. Well, when you get older, stuff like that's fun. Of course. One of the other things that happens is that they they put a lot of effort into it, and then someone always gets scared. And when they scream, other people aren't expecting it, so they scream, and it compounds the weight. And there are some weird spots in town where, yeah, even your boy gets kind of creeped out. Like we used to have this place here in town called the Ghost Tracks, and what it was a set of tracks that Amtrak owned. And the urban legend is that a school bus full of children had broken down on the tracks and through happenstance, got hit by an Amtrak train, killed all the children. And so now, if you put your car in neutral and park it on the tracks, the children will push your car off the tracks. And there were all things like, oh, put talcum powder on your trunk afterwards, and or baby powder on your trunk after the ghost children had pushed you over the tracks, and you'll see their fingerprints all over your car. I can explain how that happens. Because when you touch something, you leave oil behind it. So if you're touching the trunk of your car, your hand doesn't always fall in the same spot. And it's not always the full handprint. It's always little bits here and there, small fingerprints, whatever. And that doesn't walk away immediately. Like it'll sit there for a few days or for months, depending on how often you wash your fucking car. And when you put talcum powder on it, you see those prints that you've left there. But it made it kind of fun and spooky. And the way it worked and the reason the reason why I say it worked in past tense, and I'll explain in a minute, is because you come up to the tracks and they look like this. So it looks like you stopped uphill, but it was an optical illusion because you're actually facing downhill. And it was an optical illusion. It was. It was a cool optical illusion because it was so subtle you wouldn't really notice it unless you did it. A plane survey of how the ground worked and how it looked, which could be easily done with a long level. You put it there to see which way the bubble goes, but I digress. But sadly, a few years ago, Amtrak fixed that crossing, and it no longer is subject to that illusion, that optical illusion. It now is plain and flat. Excuse me, and level. Oh. So, sadly, that is no more. Oh well, it was cool while it lasted. Don't get me wrong. In high school, that was the thing to do around Halloween. Was just go to the ghost tracks with your girl or your guy, with your friends. Sit there and wait for the children to push you across the tracks because it was something to do and it was fun, you know. I mean, it really was something fun to do, and I thought it was fun and enjoyable. Of course, they haven't fixed Hollering Woman Creek, or as some would call it, Hollering Warming, Hollering Warming, but it's pronounced Hollering Woman Creek, and there's a whole legend about it. About if you go there at night, on a still and quiet night, when there's no moon, or when the clouds have covered the moon, and you wait quietly, you can hear a woman wailing and yelling. And the legend is that sometime in the 1800s, a woman and her kids were walking along that creek when one of her or both of her children fell in and drowned. And she was never able to recover their bodies to give them a proper burial. And so the rumor and urban legend is that she now wanders Hollering Woman Creek, yelling for her children out of mourning and remorse and loss, looking for her children. And if she finds you, she will drown you in an attempt to save her children. No, I have no idea if that's true. I've been down there plenty of times in high school, and I've never once heard a woman howl. However, me and my friends set up a prank. We went down there before one of my other friends went down there with his girlfriend, and we made noises and scared her, and they had a fun time. It's kind of like the haunted warehouse off Avenue B. There used to be an old warehouse off Avenue B. It's since been torn down and turned into expensive condos. But there used to be a warehouse on Avenue B that was haunted. Haunted. And if you went there on similar circumstances as Holler Woman Creek, in the middle of the night, on a moonless night, you would hear the ghost making noises to scare you off. Because the urban legend is that in World War II, this warehouse was used to store munitions and that there had been an accident and several people died in the warehouse from an accident involving the contents of the warehouse. And now their ghosts linger in that warehouse, warning others to leave so they don't get killed by whatever malevolent spirit wanders that warehouse. And so, me and my friends, of course, again, helping out one of our buddies who wanted to scare his girlfriend, went there before, took the bus down there. We were going to meet up with another friend who worked, at a bar downtown. He was going to give us a ride home. And we threw bottles and cans and rocks and banged on things. And it was fun. He enjoyed it. And his girlfriend got scared and she had fun. And it was something to do. Now, I know that warehouse wasn't haunted by any spirits from employees that had died during an industrial accident during World War II, because that warehouse was built in the 80s. It was built in the 80s. So that warehouse was not haunted by any World War II workers. But again, it was something fun to do on Halloween or around Halloween. It was fun. And of course, there's the horse-headed lady of Mud Creek. Mud Creek being an area of San Antonio that has a low water crossing, but a lot of trees on either side of it. And so anywhere you get an area where it's narrow two-lane road that's dark and not really well lit, and it's creepy. You'll hear people going, "Watch out for the horse-headed lady. The horse-headed lady's out there. She'll get you." And the legend is that a man and his wife, a rancher back in the day, they could not conceive a child. And so they reached out to spirits and entities from the great beyond, begging for a child. Please give them, begging for a child, longing for a child. And soon the wife fell pregnant. And in 9 months, she gave birth to a monster, a young girl with the head of a horse. But this was their child, and they raised her. And she lived until she was hunted down by townsfolks and killed for being an abomination. And now her spirit wanders Mud Creek, looking for the townspeople who wronged her to get her revenge. Huh? Huh? Again, a fun little horror story. Of course, there was also another place that was really fun to go to, but you can't get into it now because I think the building's been Actually, I'm 90% certain the building's been demolished. And it used to be over by, it is, well, it was, if it's still standing, it is, by a major police station in town. Actually, I think it was by the police academy and training center. And it was the abandoned children's psychiatric hospital. Yeah, the abandoned children's psychiatric hospital. And it was fun to break into it because it was supposedly haunted because of all the horrible experiments that had happened and the doctors that performed inhumane medical treatments on these children with psychiatric disabilities and problems. And granted, that place was fucking creepy. If there was anywhere that I would ever say I've been that was actually haunted, it would be that place. Because it was really fucking creepy. It was dark, it's in the middle of nowhere. You couldn't park your car near it because the police would tow your car and then go in looking for you if they thought you were in there. Had that happen a couple times. That was awkward. Actually, it didn't happen to me. It happened to a friend. His car got impounded, and I was at work. I couldn't go that night. And they got arrested for trespassing. Their parents had to come pick him up, and they had to go get his car out of the impound. It was a whole ordeal. Now, as an adult, I had an '84 Honda Accord in high school because my mom bought a new car in 2002, and I got the old car. So I got a car that was a year younger than me, and I was driving to work because I worked over in that area, and my car broke down. And my car broke down, and within 5 minutes, police showed up and they wanted to know what I was doing, and of course they helped me get my car running, and I got a warning. I got a warning citation for it, but not a ticket because the car obviously had broken down. They gave me a warning anyways, make sure I never did it again. But that was fun. But no, the way that we would go to get in there is we would park and then take the bus and then walk 3 miles side roads to get to this back road to get to that place. And we'd come at it from the other angle so we weren't walking past the police station. We'd cut through the woods. When I say woods, I mean South Texas woods. It's like scrub brush territory, so nothing over 30 feet high as a tree would go. And most of it's not over 15 feet in height. But we'd work our way through and we'd get up to the fence line. When we got to the fence, there was a hole in the fence. And we'd go through that, and then we'd slowly make our way in through the basement. And we'd have our flashlights for while we were in the basement. But when we got out of the basement, because most of the windows on the first floor were not boarded, but were gone, that way the police could shine flashlights in there and look, we would, go through the first floor and then get our way up to the second floor where we could use the flashlights because the windows were boarded, and all the way up to the third floor. And that place was creepy. It really, really was. Like, there were still furniture, apparatuses in there. Like some of the operating rooms still had the operating table and lights and all sorts of shit in there. And the place was, I think, abandoned sometime in the 60s or 70s. So a lot of stuff is old. And of course, there was a lot of office furniture. And like any place, excuse me, that has been abandoned for any amount of time, there's tons of graffiti and vandalism, which just made it that much more creepy. And so it had the whole air, atmosphere of something being haunted. Now, granted, we never had any spooky encounters there, at least not when I was there, but it was still creepy as hell. Of course, there's also the urban legend. It's not even an urban legend, it's a cultural legend for a lot of Hispanics of the Kakui. The Kakui is the boogeyman. The boogeyman of the Kakui. And parents, a lot of parents will sit there and go, hey, Behave, mijo, or the Kakui will get you. If you don't behave, mijo, the Kakui will come and get you. And what it is it's a boogeyman. It's a monster parents tell their kids about. Get them to behave. Is it right? Don't know. But it's still a fun story. Because he'll come out of your closet, or out from under your bed, or behind your dresser, or out of the air vent, through a window, and they will take you and eat you. Take you back to their home, their place where they live, and they will torture you and eat you and all the horrible things the boogeyman will do to children. Because that is what the kukui does. Now, I never believed in the kukui. I never saw the kukui. So, meh on that. But, that's one of those popular stories Hispanics we tell our kids about. The kukui. The Kakui. There's even a female variant, the Kakua. She'll come and get you. The Kakuya, she'll come and get you. She will beat you before she eats you. Yeah, it's kind of like the Krampus in Nordic countries. The evil Santa, the one that will come and take naughty children or with naughty children. It's like that, but a little more extreme because you get eaten. But again, I digress. Of course, there's always the story of La Rona, the woman. And the story of La Llorona goes that way back when Texas was still part of Mexico, a woman was in love with a man, but she was married to another and had children with him. So their love would never go anywhere. But one day, her husband died, and she went to her paramour. He said, I will not be with you if your children are with you. And instead of sending her children to go live with someone else, she drowned them in a creek. Well, her paramour had learned what she had done, and decided, I cannot be with a woman who would kill her own children, and left her. And when the Archangel Michael had found out what he had done, he had cursed her as she tried to kill herself. You will never leave this world. You will linger, and you will haunt the creek for which you buried your children and drowned them in until you find their souls. And to this day, she wanders that stream, looking, crying crying out for her children who she drowned, trying to find redemption, never to find them again. Oh man. Of course, there's a lot of other really cool ghost stories that aren't based in Hispanic culture. I have a lot of those because I'm Hispanic. I've heard a lot of them. There's always like the orbs in the graveyard. Supposedly, if you go to a graveyard at night, you take pictures, you'll see ghost orbs. And those are spirits that are lost, trying to find their way to the afterlife. I've yet to see them. I don't believe it. But a lot of my friends in high school, they would go to, the San Pedro Cemetery, the downtown cemetery, the main cemeteries, and they'd sneak in after sunset when they're supposed to be closed. They take pictures, try to find evidence of wandering spirits. And it was always fun. Again, it's Halloween. It's Halloween. It's something to do. It's fun. It's harmless. As long as you're not messing up the graveyard, there's not much of a problem with that. Show some reverence and respect for the dead. Of course. There's always a tale of a nine-tailed cat that haunts the old Mission Cemetery here in town. The old tale of the nine-tailed cats. The nine-tailed cat is a mythical beast. It's the size of a regular cat, but has 9 tails. Each tail is long as an arm and ends with a barb. And the cat wanders looking for people who are disrespectful in its home, the cemetery. And it lashes at them with its tails and flays them till they're dead. all because they disrespect the dead and don't treat the graveyard with reverence. Again, may not be true. May be true. Who knows? Could be you. Could be like the Skinwalker. Skinwalker is, well, that's a Native American tale. And it's a good one. Skinwalker is a person who's cursed. And they're shape shifting, shaman. They're evil. And they will change form just to kill you or take your skin. Depends, depending on who you talk to, it's either your soul, your skin, your blood, or your life. One of those things. Of course, they're also supposed to be cursed. Any land, like this Broad Ranch, which has been nicknamed Skinwalker Ranch, is cursed and has mysterious happenstances, which bugs me because the show Skinwalker Ranch is just nothing but conjecture and hyperbole to tell, an interesting and compelling story, but it's still just that a story that is based on a myth and isn't true. You know, Mm. like I think I don't see Skinwalker Ranch as haunted. Yeah, it's in a weird area. It's in the middle of fucking nowhere. Anywhere in the middle of fucking nowhere, you can get creeped out. But I don't. I don't think Skinwalker Ranch is anything nearly as haunted. Oh, I don't even think it is haunted. I don't. I don't. I really don't. But I'm not a believer in ghosts. But I do love haunted houses. I do love a haunted house. I love a good haunted house. You know, and there's one here in town that I love because it is a hell of a good haunted house. And I worked there for a little while last year, and it was amazing. It was fun. My big ass got to scare people and got paid fairly well to do it. It was amazing, and I loved it. I didn't do it this year because unfortunately, time constraints. I don't have time to go work for 6 hours a night at a haunted house. I would if I could. I really would because that shit was fun. But I mean, they've got multiple floors and different themed areas. And unlike some of the haunted houses I used to go to as a kid, where it's people jump out and go boo. No, this place they tell a compelling story with each level to the to the haunted house. There's a hotel that you got to go to, but you got to work your way through the rest of the haunted house to get to the hotel to take the elevator up to the second floor. Well, I guess third floor if you count the basement. And it was fun. It was very fun working there. I loved it. And the section I worked in was a garden. It was right before the entrance to the hotel. And there was a long cave for people to come through. And right on the other side of the wall was an audio trap. An audio trap is something they step on a panel or they break a light beam and it plays loud sudden noise, just to startle people. But that was my cue that people were about a minute away from rounding that corner and coming up to the hallway, the cave, into the courtyard of the hotel where I was playing a deranged gardener. Which I had so much fun playing a deranged gardener. It was a blast, let me tell you. Oh, it was so much fun. And part of the job, though, is that if the elevator line gets too long, or if people are waiting to get into the hotel, part of my job was to alert the staff of the hotel. And the way I do that is I would bellow and yell as loud as I can. Why are they still in my garden? If I can't plant them, why are they here? If they're not meant to be fertilizer, why are they here? Yelling stuff like that to scare people. And I didn't always, it was funny because I didn't always lunge out at people. Like sometimes I'd hide behind a tree and then step out in front of them and just stare at them and ask them, why are you here? Why are you in my garden? What are you doing in my garden? Or, I'd say something about the hotel. Don't check in, you'll never check out. Sometimes I would hide off to the side and I'd get behind people and I'd walk uncomfortably close to them. And that always creeped them out. Or if I was walked behind them, I'd stay behind them if it was a large group and when they're going up the little ramp to get into the hotel, I'd suddenly start stomping my feet on the wood as hard as I could and make a ton of noise. And I always got a good reaction. People always screamed and turned around and got freaked out by it. You know, though I do remember my favorite scare from when I was working at that haunted house was there's this young girl, probably around 13, 14, and she saw me step out from behind the tree and she started backpedaling, going, no, screaming, no, no, no. And I just kept walking at her. And I didn't have my glasses on. I was doing this without saying a fucking thing. Just kept walking at her until she backed up against the wall. And then I walked away. You don't want to carry it too long or too far. Because you don't want to be a jerk, but you do want to scare people. You want to scare them because that's why you're there. That's why it's a haunted house. People don't go to a haunted house, to not be scared. You know, they expect to be scared at a haunted house. And I loved that job. I loved working there last year. I just wish I could have done it this year, but time constraints, I couldn't. I couldn't justify working 6 hours a night at a haunted house. A show night a week. I loved it. And that's the thing. A lot of haunted houses actually pay pretty good. I mean, like big ones, not the little rinky I mean, like the big ones for your city. A lot of them pay really good. I was making about 120 a night for 6 hours. That's six. No, that's $20 an hour. That's pretty good money for a basic do nothing scare people job. And I was doing part time aside from my regular full time work and my other little side gigs. You know, it was good money, and that's the thing. A lot of good haunted houses pay really well because they know that if they pay well, they'll get more effort out of you. They have more money to put into props and costumes and makeup and storylines. It wasn't just like, oh, you sit here, you scare people. No, it's like you're a gardener or a deranged gardener. You might be a zombie, you might just be a bloated corpse, but you're a deranged gardener. And you don't want people in your garden. So you want to scare them out of your garden. That was my storyline, was that I was a deranged, possessed, undead, possibly gardener. Don't know if I was a zombie, don't know if I was possessed, but I was deranged. And I didn't want people in my garden. So I did everything I could to scare people to get them to go up that ramp. And I did. People would go up the ramp a little faster after I scared them. Because that was the storyline I was told. That was the storyline I was given to go with. And it was fun. I enjoyed the hell out of it. It was an amazing experience. Ah, this one's done. And I got to work for some really, really cool people that, some really cool stuff. And it was fun. I'm not gonna lie. I really, really enjoyed scaring people at the haunted house. And I love a good haunted house. So it was like a dream job. Even though it was a part-time thing, it was still something I truly, truly enjoyed because it was really, really fun. You know? Our next cigar, we've had it on the show plenty of times. You know it. I love it. It's Room 101. Darum. Daruma. I don't know how it's pronounced. I do not speak Japanese. I believe it is pronounced Dar. Uh, Daruma. I believe that's how it's pronounced. Oh well. But again, working at a haunted house was a blast. And it's not the first time I've worked at a haunted house. In high school, I worked at Six Flags, and come October, I always auditioned because you don't just apply; you have to audition for their Fright Night, for their Halloween thing, for their haunted house, and it was fun. It was such a fun job, and again, because they put effort into it, they gave you a storyline. They gave you a developed character. Now, granted, some haunted houses you're allowed, after you've been there for a while, you're allowed to develop a character, which is cool, but you gotta be good with it. You have to be on point if you're gonna develop a character. it has to have backstory. Got to flesh it out. You know, and so again, though, Six Flags has a massive budget for props, costume, makeup, scenery. They do. They have a massive budget for it. And they make a lot of money off that haunted house because it's an extra feature. You gotta pay to get into it. But the characters I always played were chainsaw freaks. And what the chainsaw freak is somebody that chases you with a chainsaw. And was I using a real chainsaw? Yes, it wasn't an electric chainsaw. It was a gas powered chainsaw because I was running around the outside of the event. But there's no chain on the bar, so there's no danger of you actually cleaving someone in half. Now you don't want to hit anyone with it because it is a fucking chainsaw, and the bar still is heavy and can hurt. But there's no risk of you accidentally mauling somebody. And I loved being a chainsaw. It was so much fun. I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. But there were people that would audition, and I had to audition for the haunted house I worked at last year. You know, and you have to audition. You can't just be like, "Ooh, I want to work there. I'm going to be scary." No, you got to prove you can be scary. You got to prove that you can use the scenery effectively. You have to show that you're not just going to jump scare. You have to put effort into it. There has to be some reasoning to why you scare the people. And that's fine because there were a lot of people that would audition and didn't do that. They would just try to at the interviewers and the people watching you audition, and they typically didn't get hired, or they would get hired for concessions, but they wouldn't get a good role. They wouldn't be one of the performers, scare actors in the haunted house. You know, they would. But if you were there long enough, because when I was at Six Flags, I was there long enough as an employee to where third year I auditioned. I wasn't working at Six Flags anymore, but I had worked their haunted event enough to where I was allowed to develop a character. And I did. I developed a mechanic who works on something, but it broke and killed a bunch of people. And he kind of went crazy from it. And so I'd walk around with a wrench, or I'd be sitting down rocking, and I would just provide atmosphere creep, creepy atmosphere. Like, I didn't mean to kill those people. I didn't mean to kill those people. And occasionally I'd jump up and run after people, but they weren't scared. Something like that, and scare people because I developed a character, and that was the character, and they loved it. I think they still use it too. I think they still use the deranged mechanic. No, I mean, I didn't own the character, it's developed, and they liked it, and so they used it. And when I left, they kept using it, which is fine. Huh. You know, it was, it's one of those things that if you can get into it and you're, a good fit for it, it is a blast. Like we had people that had Ferris gloves and knee pad or toe caps and slidable knee pads, and they would slide and chase people, put up a bunch of sparks. And it looked cool. And it would always startle people, you know. I mean, normally, hell, what other job you could sit there and go, I scared someone so bad they wet their pants. What other job can you say that at? Where it's like a mark of pride. If you can scare someone as a scare actor at a haunted house so badly that they piss themselves, that's a mark of pride. Any other job, and that would make you a jerk. Any other circumstance, that would make you a jerk. You know, That would put you on level with it's a prank, bro. It's a prank, bro. Kind of YouTubers, you know. But if you could actually scare a patron at a haunted house as an employee so badly they wet themselves or poop, if you get someone to poop their pants, right? You get someone to poo their pants. Oh, oh God, that is legendary. Other employees tell stories of you getting someone to shit themselves because you scared them that bad. Oh my God. And it's not like it's not like working at a concert because I've worked at concerts. Like one year I worked at Ozfest at their you know their midway where they had a bunch of games people could play. Where a lot of these people are kind of sketchy. No, it's at a haunted house. Yeah, there's a bunch of people from different walks of life. Some are kind of sketchy, but not all of them are. In fact, a lot of people I worked with were not sketchy at all. Now, granted, they like to try to get into character before you go down them. You know, I always show up an hour early. You get paid when you show up. If you show up an hour early, you get paid for setup, closing, and you get paid in between. So it's about an hour to open, hour to close. You have an hour to get into character, and that's great. That gives you time to get in wardrobe, get in makeup, and if they have to do prosthetics, they can do that. If they're just doing makeup, which all they did for me was, they airbrushed my face white, put a little highlight of green in my beard, and not even like neon green, just like gentle green, and then they put like brown and mossy stripes over my face, like I was rotting. And it gave me time to get into character, you know. It gave me time to get in the moment, you know, so that when the doors opened and when people came to the garden before the hotel, I was in character and I was ready to scare them. And that's an important thing. If you're going to work a haunted house, you have to be in character. Even if it's not a character that you wanted and it's just a character they assigned you still should get into character. If you're, a deranged nurse or a psycho nurse or a killer nurse or a doctor or a hotel worker or a clown or a bumpkin or whatever role they have you need to get into that character. You have to. You're acting. It's not just you scaring people. You're acting. You're performing. And like any good acting and performing role, you have to get the character. Like even when I still do motion capture for a couple of my friends in VR chat, for like Rectal Bisque or Two Joe Panda, I'd get in character. He'd tell me what the role was. I'd read up on it. I'd study the script if there was a script, and I'd get into character because that makes it easier. That makes it more believable when you are in character. Because when you're not in character, your performance will suffer. And I know because I've been to them. There are haunted houses where the depth of their character is puddle, where it's like, oh, I'm just a creepy fucking clown. Okay, that's cool. You're a creepy clown, but you got no substance. Oh, you're a psycho redneck with a chainsaw. Okay. Oh, you're a mindless zombie, but you jump out of corners and go boom. No, no, that's lackluster, and that's annoying. A good person that's playing a zombie will shuffle and moan and groan and actually chase people like either a runner or a walker. Clowns are usually some of the harder characters to develop. I mean, a lot of people are just afraid of clowns in general, but a scary clown is a character that needs to be developed. For like a haunted house or a haunted event, that's a character that should be developed. Why are they creepy? Are they a demon? Are they psycho? Are they a cannibal? Are they evil? Are they possessed? Are they from the underworld? You need to develop that clown. You know, like the bumpkin, the redneck character. Are they inbred? Are they a hillbilly? Are they evil? Do they worship some old forgotten god? Stuff like that. It really helps sell the character, and that really helps scare people at a haunted house. That's the important thing. But what about y'all? What stories do you have? You can use chat. You can talk in chat. You can talk to me. I want to hear what y'all have to say about Halloween. Because I like Halloween. As an adult, I love Halloween. And I love, the whole thing about it. I love costuming. I love kids going door to door and get candy, wearing costumes. I think that's magical. I think that's so magical that, they do that. I love like haunted houses. I love decorations. I love one of my neighbor's decorations in the neighborhood because, like I said earlier, they have two of those giant Home Depot skeletons, and one's dressed kind of like King Kong, the other's just kind of like Godzilla, and they're fighting in the front yard. I've seen pictures on Facebook of someone who made like a skeleton strip club in front of their house and called it the Bone Zone. It was funny. I saw another one where someone's got a skeleton on a riding lawnmower with a beer, another one trying to crawl away from it, and a bunch of bones coming up the grass chute for the lawnmower. It's funny. It's stuff like that's hilarious. And I love that. I love when people do that kind of shit. You know, like I know Halloween used to have deep religious meanings. And I know it used to be, well, it's an incorporation of Deus Morte, and Day of the Dead, All Hallows Eve, and a bunch of other things all kind of rolled into an ultra capitalist, commercialized Halloween. Let's face it, Halloween is very, very commercialized. It's like Valentine's Day, very commercialized. It had original roots in something more, but it doesn't now. So, meh. Now it's just commercialized. It's a way to make money, but it's still fun. Granted, like I said, I don't go to bars on Halloween or the weekend of Halloween because I don't want to deal with crowd. I'm not socially anxious or anything. I just don't want to be around a bunch of drunks. It's that simple. I like to go to costume contests and Halloween parties, all sorts of shit. You know, I mean, hell, I took part of the fucking trunk or treat this year, giving out candy to kids, and I bought big bags at Sam's Club. And I wasn't giving out, like a couple of pieces. No, I'm giving out a handful of candy to each kid that came through. Just a bear paw of candy to each kid. And I got big hands, so that each kid's getting a man-sized handful of candy. Because I love to see them smile, and I love how it made them happy. You know, because when I was a kid, I loved that kind of crap. I loved it. And I want children to have that. I want those kids that came to my car trunk with their parents next to the other cars to really enjoy Halloween. So I'd give them a bear paw handful of candy. You know, I remember one year I gave out full size candy bars. I went to Sam's Club, bought 18 fucking boxes of Hershey's fucking chocolate bars, and I'd give out full sized fucking candy bars to kids for Halloween, you know, because I thought it was cool. When I was a kid, I loved Halloween. I still do. And like I said, when I was a kid in Dallas, there were two dentists. One would give out toothpaste and toothbrush and flosses and a little baggie with their name, with their business card in it. The other one gave out king size candy bars with their business card taped to the candy bar. I'll let you guess which one was my dentist and which one got egged and TP'd. You know, hell, back in antiquity, you know, back before World War One, kids would run wild on Halloween. I kid you not. Mischief night, they would start bonfires in the streets. They would barricade parents in their house so they couldn't stop them from building these bonfires. while the older kids were having a Halloween party, which was tame and mild and boring, the younger kids were out running amok, causing chaos. And it was perfectly all right. Nobody thought anything of it. And that's fine because it's fucking Halloween. Who cares? Have fun. Let your hair down and go buck wild. You know? But again, times are changing. Society's worried about stuff. And so Halloween evolves as most holidays do to where now may not get trick or treaters in your neighborhood. They may all go to a organized trunk or treat for the HOA. Hell, some HOAs have rules against trick or treating, and that the kids can only go to the trunk or treat, and that's fine. I mean, it's not like back in my day kind of crap, but it's something that kids can still do. They can still dress in costume, and they can still get candy. You know, people still decorate their yards. They'll still have little parties and gatherings for Halloween, stuff like that. And there's nothing wrong with that. In fact, that's magical about Halloween. You know, last Halloween I went to a friend's Halloween party where we had fun and we made jokes and we drank excessively. God, did I get drunk that night? It was fun, you know. Or no, that wasn't last Halloween. That was the Halloween before last when I went that. Because last Halloween I was working at the haunted house. That's right. That's right. Sorry, got mixed up. But what about y'all? What have y'all seen for Halloween? What is like the one core memory that you have of Halloween? Like what is that one Halloween tradition that is just stuck in your head? You know, just stayed there. It's like that feel good memory. What do you have, Chad, for that one memory? Come on, let me know. I need to know. I want to know. I desperately need to know. It is vital to my survival. Mhm. All right. The one person in chat, you're being silent. I get it. I get it. Now, normally though, for Halloween, I would be smoking these little monster cigars that a company here puts out. And they put out, like the Frankenstein, the Dracula, or not Frankenstein, Frankenstein's monster, Dracula, Wolfman, Creature from the Black Lagoon, the Mummy. They put out themed Halloween cigars. I didn't see any this year, so I didn't get it, which kind of sucks because the Dracula is really, really good. So was the Frankenstein's monster. The Wolfman was kind of in. The Mummy was real hit or miss. But the Frankenstein monster was an amazing candela. Oh my god, that was an amazing cigar. And we're getting closer on a side note to me getting the rest of the stuff needed to set up my little workshop and garage for leatherwork, to where y'all can hang out with me while I do leatherwork and make projects that y'all can, enjoy the process of making leather projects because it's fun and it's something to do. You know, it really is. I do enjoy leather. Mm. But again, it doesn't matter. It's something I can do. And if y'all want to watch, that'll be fine too. Now, I just noticed I'm in the wrong Streamlabs setup. I'm in Leatherwork, which I just recently set up. And I'm not on the Fail Nation laptop setup, which is kind of odd. I don't think it really matters. It really, really doesn't, let's be honest. You know, I mean, it is what it is. Hopefully next week, the work table, the workshop table will show up, and a couple of the tools I had to order will show up. Still can't afford a big clicker press, but I'm not spending that kind of money on something that big. I'm gonna get one of the smaller cam presses because that'll work for smaller projects until I can get to the God, they're being loud out there. So I can get to the point where I can order custom dies for some of the other projects I want to do. But it is as it is. And I know someone that does metal work that might be able to make the dies for me at a more cost effective rate. Hopefully. Still out on cost on that. But once I get that, it'll make it a lot easier. And I've been practicing using a stitching awl because saddle stitching, although effective for leatherwork and is possibly the better way to stitch, takes a lot more time than using a sewing awl. I can bust out a foot of linear stitches on a sewing awl than I can with saddle stitching faster than I can with saddle stitching. But again, that's a conversation for another day. Now, I am thinking about streaming some video games Halloween night. I just need to find a good horror game that I like. That'll be fun to play. And there's so many horror games to choose from. There really are so many horror games to choose from. Like a ton of horror games. Although I could just do My Friendly Neighborhood because that is a fun game, and I do like that game, and it does have horror game aspects. Plus, we didn't get all the endings. We only got the good ending. Still gotta go for the bad ending. And I heard there's a secret ending if you get in the truck and leave. I still want to try that ending because that's gonna be fun. However, as much as I love Halloween and I love haunted houses, I hate most contemporary scary movies. Like, I haven't really liked scary movies since the mid 90s, mid to late 90s. Because it's not that I don't like scary movies. Don't get me wrong. No, I love a good scary movie. I love classic scary movies. I love stuff from the 40s, 30s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and all the way up to the mid to late 90s, where they relied on practical effects and they relied on storytelling and suspense and tension instead of what most of them rely on now being just gore for the sake of gore and jump scares. You know, like a good scary movie should have you on the edge of your seat and it should build up that storytelling tension, just ratcheting it up ever so slowly until it reaches the crescendo and then boom, scare. And it doesn't have to be the only scare for the movie. It can be multiple crescendos of fright. But most modern movies just rely on gore and jump scares instead of being actually scary, you know? And it's kind of a tragedy. Like old school Freddy and Jason, you got glimpses of the monster. You didn't get to see the whole monster until the very end, you know? Or like that movie Signs by M. Night Shyamalan. That's a good scary movie because as much as I don't like him as a director because it's a what a twist. That whole what a twist thing from fucking Robot Chicken makes sense. What a twist. Signs, you didn't get to see the whole monster. You got glimpses of the monster. You got outlines and silhouettes of the monster, but they weren't like jump scare. It was like then and then it calms down again. It wasn't until the very end of the movie that you get the full on view of these alien invaders and the end of the movie. It wasn't until like the last 15, 20 minutes that you get to see the full on alien doing what the alien does. kind of shit. And that's what made it magical. I don't like how there was a lot of circumstance of what a twist. Oh, it was all, set up. The one little girl with asthma and leaving her glasses of water around. The one kid that kept swinging out and missing and getting struck out in baseball. Oh, and this, that, and the other. It's like, no, that kind of annoyed me because although that was a good story, setting up from circumstances like that is kind of lazy, you know. It is. I consider that vulgarly lazy. It's vulgar storytelling. It's lazy. You can do so much better if you try. You really can. But unfortunately, a lot of movie production companies want that quick turnaround. They want instant gratification. They want storytelling on sideline. They just want brief story, lots of scare through gore and jump scares. And they have kind of fallen away from storytelling and motivation. Okay, what is the motivation of the monster? Oh, Freddy Krueger was burned alive by the parents of the school because of a child molester, or he may have been the child molester, but it never went to court, so there's no actual justification. But the parents threw him in a boiler or furnace and burned him alive, and then he swore vengeance on those parents that he would be back, but to kill their children. Excellent motivation. Jason, kid drowned in a lake. Supposedly his mom is the one doing all the killing. Even there's one modern scary movie I love called The Tripper, and it relies on so much practical effect. It really, really does. And what it is, if you haven't seen the movie, check it out. It's really good. It's a music festival gone horribly wrong in the woods because this one guy that works as a forestry agent, taking care of dead trees and such, his kid had some sort of mental issue. And during the Reagan era, he went to an asylum, but then Reagan got rid of the asylums. He really did. And so the kid had to go back to live with his parents, and his kid had a fixation with Nixon, or not Nixon, Reagan. And he becomes this killing monster that kills these people all throughout the movie. And yeah, there's a lot of gore. Yeah, there's a lot of jump scares. But the point being is that there's still a story and a reasoning and a motivation to the monster. You know, hell, look at old school Alien with Sigourney Weaver. You don't see the entire xenomorph till over 2/3 of the way through the movie. It kills a lot of people, and it is beautifully done the way that that monster is so concealed in how they did it. You know, they don't just rely on immediacy and jump scares. It's not like that fucking clown movie with the black and white clown that I can't remember the name of, where you see the killer the whole fucking time. It's not like Saw, where it's like, ooh, mysterious guy, all these traps, and all these traps are horribly gory and overly done. That it just kills the effect of the movie for me. It kills the suspense, it kills the scariness of it, and it kills any buildup. It's actually kind of boring because it's like, oh no, there's a trap that's gonna kill this person. Oh, it was gory, but it wasn't really scary because you knew it was going to kill at least half the people there, or some of the people, or that they'd have to kill this one person and cut, the solution out of their belly or out of their eye. What's up? Coming in or not? You heading out? Just checking on how the student store's been. It's going good. It's my buddy Red. I was gonna see if I could get him on fucking stream, talk about motorcycles and scary stuff, but he didn't want to be on camera. He's scared. He's scared to be on camera. Oh well. But no, it really does annoy me when when a scary movie just starts with gore and it doesn't build up to it. You know, it's just lazy, in my opinion. It comes across as haphazard and lazy, and I really, really hate that. God, do I hate that. I can't stand that. Oh well. It really is just what it is, and there's not much you can do about that. I mean, let's be honest. I don't know, maybe one day Hollywood will go back to using the old school method. And when I say old school, I mean like 80s and 70s version of Michael Myers, Jason, Freddy Krueger, build up and suspense. Like, Rob Zombie put out some really good movies that follow that formula. You know, House of a Thousand Corpses, The Hills Have Eyes, Devil's Rejects, they build up to it. His Halloween version with Michael Myers, he built up to it. You know, it worked so well because he followed that old school formula. It's not just the immediate terror, it builds to it. There's a heightened tension as it slowly ramps up to a crescendo. But, I mean, let's face it. Jason X, where he's in space, they find him frozen on Earth, and they give him a better mask and a better. No, that was stupid. The entire premise of that movie was stupid. It was just to sell tickets to get teens in there to get jump scares and gore. There was no substantial story. There was nothing of substance to that movie, to any of the characters, to any of it at all. It was just lame. It really was. I guess you can sum it up as like a bad cigar. Bad cigar will have no body. It'll have no body, no substance to the flavor, no notes, no hidden notes, no subtlety to it. It's all flavor up front, like an acid cigar. I'm not talking shit about people who smoke acids. I'm just saying that for the most part, an acid cigar is just that infused flavor, and there's no subtlety to it. There's no build to it. It doesn't change in flavor. It doesn't change as the cigar warms up. And a good horror movie should be like a good cigar. You should start off with one flavor, slowly build to another flavor up until the crescendo of the best point of the cigar when the flavor is at its best. That is when a scary movie is at its best. Like a good haunted house should just be scary. And there should be plenty of jump scares and stuff to make you nervous, creeped out. But a cheap haunted house will just rely on people jumping out going boo with no substance. Oh, it is what it is. I don't know. Hopefully next year I'll be able to go back to working at the haunted house at night. If my schedule settles down and time constraints are relieved, I can go back to working 6 hours a night at a haunted house, which I loved doing that. And I've said it plenty of times. I brought it up multiple times in the stream. I loved it because it was fun and it was rewarding. And it gave me a chance to act and to perform, which is why I like doing motion capture and VR, because I like to perform. I like to act. That's why I want to get into voice acting, but I'm not sure how. And I'm trying to build a portfolio for voice acting because I like to perform. And Halloween is just a Giants performance holiday, anyways, with a bunch of money involved to buy candy and costumes and decorations, which is fine. I love that. And I know what I'm doing tomorrow. I'm going to my little brother's grave tomorrow. One, to check on it, because we've had problems with people messing with it. And two, to, leave some stuff there for Day of the Dead. Because I'm not going to be able to go down there after Monday. I'm not going to be able to go down there for a whole 2 weeks because I'm going to be, busy. And it's an hour drive to get to his grave, which kind of sucks, but it is what it is. But what really gets me, and this is off on a separate tangent, is when Hollywood puts out scary movies in fucking summer. Like, I know why they're doing it. They're trying to get the teen money because kids aren't in school during the summer and they have more time and they're more likely to go to the movies. But come on, man. At least put one or two movies out of you at Halloween, you know? Of course, I also hate when movies go based on a true story when it's not, when what they're telling is so greatly exaggerated that it's so far removed from the original events that it's not even really based on. It's only a namesake and a rough premise, you know? Like, you don't have, you don't have to have in a good ghost story the ghost, you know, cussing or talking shit. No, you can have the ghost do subtle things. Like that movie Paranoia, right? They tried to bill it as if it was based, if it was like real found footage or something like that. And it's like, no, it wasn't. It was based on what happened was that the writer of the movie, him and his wife had moved into a new home and they were getting used to it. And they figured, fuck it, we'll set up a camera and see what happens. And originally they got nothing. Nothing on camera, nothing weird. But they said, hey, that would make a good horror movie. And it would have. It was. It was an alright horror movie, but they billed it as based on true events, which it wasn't. Or the Blair Witch Project. That is a good scary movie because they use crescendo and there's not a lot of gore and there's a lot of suspense. That I can get behind. Saw, no. Uh-uh. Saw is not a good horror movie. Saw is a terrible horror movie. It is a gore movie with jump scare, but mostly just gore and a loose psychological thriller aspect when it isn't even that. You know, Danny Darko was another psychological thriller, but it didn't rely on gore. I mean, hard to use a lot of practical effects in a movie like that, but they tried. And they did a lot of good effects, but it's a psychological film. It's not a horror movie. Yet I know people are like, oh, that's one of my favorite scary movies. So it's like, it's not a scary movie. It's a psychological thriller. It's meant to make you think. On the same hand, I've also met a lot of people that are like, oh, I understand that movie because, I'm an expert at psychology. And it's like, really? You dropped out of high school. You don't go to you never went to college. And you've worked at McDonald's for the last 23 years, Bill. You're not an expert in psychology. But good horror movies will always have a good story. And bad horror movies will always rely on cheap jump scares and gore. All right. It is almost time for me to end the stream. So we're going to end it here. If you like what I have to say, or if you like hearing me babble for an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes, however long stream may be at the day, feel free to drop a follow. Following's free, it costs you nothing. However, I will never beg you to sub. I will never beg you to gift subs. I will never beg you for donations or tips. I will never beg you to buy merch, even though I have merch. I'm not like DSP. I accept that if you want to give, you will give, but I ask that all you do is follow, because following is free. All right? And on that note, I love y'all. Take care. Be good to each other. I'll see y'all next time. Bye.